Hi folks, and welcome to their Saturday morning Samoflange. Let's get this going. Man, I am so happy to be talking about my top 5 movies from actors. And I've heard a few suggestions there that I will take into mind later on for future episodes. I do need to explain why I am without a partner this month. I promised you I'd have my new partner with me. Unfortunately, August is my busiest month of the year, but it looks like the first half of September is going to be pretty rough too. So I decided to go ahead and just record at least the first couple episodes. Maybe I'll just do them all for this month. But without a co-host right now. Believe me, I want a co-host. I want one, and I will eventually get one. I have plenty of offers from people, and thank you so much. But I had to record these really quick just because I will not have any time the first couple of weeks of September, maybe throughout the whole month, which that's kind of rare. Usually I have a little bit of open time here and there, but with my schedule right now, things are just a little tight. So I think I'm just going to go solo for one more month, but I really do want to have my partner back, Benjamin, who's back. And then I have another friend of mine who suggested some ideas that we do together. I definitely want to work with him as well. So for right now, it's just going to be me going solo still. But I am talking about my favorite, some of my favorite actors in the movies that I love them the best in. Now, just recently, a new movie came out streaming, or if you're lucky enough to have your theater open, it came out in theaters. Bill and Ted Face the Music. Basically, it's Bill and Ted 3. Now, I was never a Bill and Ted fan growing up. In fact, I never saw the movie. I actually ate the cereal. My mom didn't know. Bill and Ted was also a cartoon, and my mom, I guess, just thought it was a cartoon, so she bought the cereal. So it's really weird. We never watched the cartoon either, but we bought the cereal. And so we ate the cereal growing up, and that's how we knew Bill and Ted. Bill and Ted, we knew it was a movie that we could never watch because Mom wasn't going to let us watch anything rated, above a G. But we enjoyed the cereal. I remember the cereal being pretty good. So whenever Mom bought Bill and Ted cereal, we always liked it. I think it had Music Note marshmallows in it. I can't remember what the actual crunchy cereal was like, but it's fine. But we had it all the time as kids, I guess. Maybe it was on sale a lot, and my mom always picked it up. But I did finally, just a few years back, I want to say it was like 3 years ago, I think me and my brother sat down and we watched Bill and Ted 1 and 2, because I realized that's 80s-esque movies that I've never seen. And I enjoyed them. They're stupid fun. I mean, probably would have been more fun back in the day. And it seems like the new movie, which at this point I have not yet seen it. Maybe after this recording post, I've seen it. I don't know. But I do want to see the movie because I was like, that's kind of cool that Keanu Reeves is going back and revisiting a character he did a long time ago. And from what I hear, Keanu Reeves is a really nice guy, which is why the topic is today, of course, my top 5 Keanu Reeves movies. Now, I've been a Keanu Reeves fan for actually quite some time. On and off, I've always enjoyed his movies. And even when he came out with stinkers like 47 Ronin, I was still going to see it. Was it the best movie? No, it wasn't. But I still wanted to see it because I just always have loved Keanu Reeves. I don't know. Let me see. Am I going to give away? Yeah, I am going to give away one of my top 5 movies, which is where he came in with me. Like how he hit my radar was one movie in particular, and that's when I started following him. And I'm glad that he got success in other movies that are also in my top 5 too. He's now kind of a bigger name movie star than ever before, and good for him. This guy's incredible. First off, let me go over some of the honorable mentions. A Scanner Darkly, it's unique. I wouldn't say it's perfect, but it's unique. He came up with 2 sports movies that are both okay. The Replacements and Hardball. Hardball, he's a coach, coaching some kids, of course, which he was all right in. I enjoy baseball movies, period. And then The Replacements, which is a football movie. He's a younger quarterback. I think Gene Hackman was in that. And it was decent, too. Nothing memorable, but decent sports flicks. He was in the movie Johnny Mnemonic back in the day, which was okay. Not really one of my favorites, but it was in there. These were the 3 that kind of got left out. Bram Stoker's Dracula. Probably not anyone's favorite or wouldn't be on the mark for anyone, but he did a really good job. Yes, I was following Keanu Reeves back then. But the movie was so-so, but Keanu Reeves did a good job. But that's why it definitely deserves being an honorable mention, but definitely not part of my top 10. Now, these 2, it was rough. It was rough not putting either one of these in my top 5 because they're both good. And to be honest, I wrote these down before I looked up the other ones. And usually when I write things down, those are the ones that are my top 5. And the ones I look up later, they're not my top 5. But I did have one that I looked up later and went, oh yeah, I forgot about that movie. And so I put that in my top 5, therefore bouncing one of these two out, because I was having a hard time realizing which one of these two belong. Devil's Advocate, I think, is unbelievably good. It gets the title of one of the few movies ever to freak me out in theaters. It freaked me out. Al Pacino's caricature of the devil. I think Keanu Reeves is in Florida, or he moves to Florida or something to get to work for a big law firm. But of course, the law firm is, lawyers are evil, and the devil runs the law firm. Of course, Al Pacino, and the thing of the devil. And so he and his wife are going down there. It's a great opportunity, but then she says, "Hey, something's wrong here," and he's being tempted to cut corners and do things to get the win, or maybe cheat on his wife or something like that. So the devil's basically tempting all of them to cheat on their relationship, and like he's kind of hitting on the wife. The devil, Al Pacino's hitting on the wife. Al Pacino's performance is great. Maybe I should do a top 5 Al Pacino, and maybe it'd make it in there. But Devil's Advocate, Keanu Reeves does a great job in this, and it's a really good movie. And I can't remember what freaked me out. I remember there's a girl's face that's kind of messed up, and she grins. I can't remember the scene that much, but there was just so many things that's just creeping me out. And Al Pacino is the devil. Like he's in the maybe I like this because of Al Pacino, but but Keanu Reeves is this. He's trying to save his wife and get out of there because he knows he's trapped. He's trying to get out, and it's really good. But like I said, maybe in my Al Pacino top 5. Maybe that'll be in the Al Pacino top 5. Who knows? But gotta keep talking about Al Pacino now. Maybe that's the reason I really liked it. But no, I did like it. I actually went to go see it because of Keanu Reeves, because I wanted to see anything with Keanu Reeves in it, and I thought it was a really good film, but it did freak me out. But it missed the mark there, so it doesn't get counted in my top 5. All right. So the other one, and I mean, it did not make it, and I am so upset because my other 5 are pretty much a hard lock. I'm going to hold these because I really do love them. But I rewatched Constantine not but a year ago, I want to say. I love it. I love Constantine. Constantine got rebooted as a TV series. I think the movie was supposed to spawn its own trilogy or whatnot, but it bombed in theaters. I don't think anyone knew it was a superhero film. And this is back in the day before superhero films were always a guaranteed hit. And they didn't really want to advertise as a superhero film because back then superhero films, you don't want to. They weren't guaranteed money makers. I don't think they wasn't franchising them like they do now. But if you have not seen Constantine, the movie with Keanu Reeves, you need to see it. It's really good. He portrays an excellent Constantine. If you read the comic book, I've read the comic book a little bit. I'm not a comic book Constantine fan, but he portrays the character very well, and he's just good. He's good in it, and it really sang to me. I don't like the ending of the movie. I thought the ending of the movie was kind of fell flat for me, and it's a shame because it's a great story, and Keanu Reeves just acts his heart out and does a great job as Constantine. It just deserved a better ending than what it got. It just wasn't that believable an ending, and kind of was like wonk wonk, because you can kind of tell what was going on. They thought they were being all witty and twisting things around, but you're like, we've seen this before. And I really wish they would have done something different. But either way, I'm not going to spoil the ending of the movie, but I'll be honest, and you know what, you may like the ending of the movie, but I think another reason that's why it didn't probably do good in theaters. I don't think a lot of fans of Constantine didn't like that either. Either way, though, I'll be honest, his portrayal of Constantine is really, really good. That is a fun movie to watch. I really enjoyed that movie. I know Bruce from my other podcast, Prince of the Universe, really loves Constantine. I think he liked the TV show too, but he absolutely loved the movie too. He loved the movie more than I did. He just went bonkers over it. And I thought Keanu Reeves did a great job. I just didn't like the ending. I don't think Bruce had a problem with the ending, but I did. I'm a little bit more picky on my movies, you could say. So, all right, so there you have it. There's all my honorable mentions. Now, you can mention a ton of other ones I'm not going to mention here, like Bill and Ted. Bill and Ted is an honorable mention as well. It's nice. Like I said, they're fun to watch once, but after that, you're pretty much done with it. It's kind of got dumb, repetitive humor in it, as 80s movies and sequels do. I'll be honest, though, people hated the sequel. I actually love the sequel. I thought Death was better than George Carlin, and no one agrees with me on that, which is fine. But I thought Death was a funny character. I thought the Bogus Journey, to me, was more enjoyable than the Excellent Adventure. Even though the Excellent Adventure does have that movie magic, it was the '80s, it was the original one. Everyone loves Excellent Adventure, and yeah, it's a fine movie. But Bogus Journey it made me laugh more, and that's another reason I'm just so glad that Death is in the third one, because he's just a fun character. He's a fun character. But I remember people hated Bogus Journey; they absolutely hated it. So maybe Bogus Journey will get some redemption here, and people will go back and rewatch it and realize it's the better of the two movies. Now, that being said, I think 3 will be even better. Because the first two, even though they're ha-ha funny, they're not the best. They can be beat. So, that's the good thing. It doesn't look like the humor is going to step up that far more for Bill and Ted 3, because they have their daughters in it. Their daughters are kind of do impersonations of the original characters, which is really a bad idea. They should be more airheaded instead of dumbasses like their fathers. But I don't know. Either way, though, I'm willing to give it a shot. But I think there's going to be some stupid humor in there, which is Bill and Ted. That's not going to play very well. It's going to fall flat on the audience. I don't think this is going to be a moneymaker. But I'm glad they made it, because I do think it's going to be fun. I love continuity, of course, so that they're bringing as many of the cast back as they can. It's going to be fun. And, I'm ready to give it a shot. Would it make in my top 10? Most definitely not. I don't think Bill and Ted 3. I mean, it could surprise me and be super awesome. But I don't think it could be something like a Constantine, which I really do appreciate Constantine. I think it's awesome. All right, so that being said, my top 5. I'm going to be honest, you're going to know a lot of these. A lot of these are his famous ones. And one's going to throw you for an absolute loop. But number 5 is one that I think a lot of people would pick as number 1. I have no problem with that. It's The Matrix. Obviously, right? When The Matrix came out, the very first one, it blew me away, just like everyone else. I was happy because I wanted to go see it, not because of all the CGI and all the things I heard about it, because of Keanu Reeves. I was a Keanu Reeves fan. I wanted to see it. And I was so happy that he had a big hit and everyone started talking about him again. Because I thought he was always a good actor and no one ever mentioned him. Or if they did, they said, he's not that good. He's very wooden or whatnot. He's one-dimensional. And I was like, no, I don't think so. I don't feel that way. And then, of course, he came out as Neo. It was a breakthrough performance. Really catapulted him, to A-list status. Was he at A-list status before? Yeah, but he was slowly slipping away to a B-list actor until this movie came out and really catapulted his career. The reason, and of course, Matrix in itself, just the first movie alone, is fan-friggin-tastic. It's flawless. It really is flawless. It's just such a great movie. The reason this makes number 5 and not number 1 is because there's some really great movies in the top 5 here. But also, because it could have been, you take The Matrix on its own. I'm including all of the sequels here. I would probably put it number 3, maybe even. But you have to finish the story, so unfortunately 2 and 3 have to fit in there. And I say unfortunately because 2, I think, is pretty good. There's only 2 awful things wrong with 2. One is the ending with the architect, which everyone hates and people mock because he makes no sense. It makes no sense. They're just trying to be cool and witty and thought-provoking, and they don't even explain it, I don't think, do they? In 3, I can't remember. But it was just a rough way to end a part 2 of a 3-part trilogy, especially when you know there's a part 3 coming out. That was very anticlimactic and not really that good. So they kind of fumbled on the ending. And then, of course, everyone laughs at this scene, the cave scene. The cave scene where they're getting their groove on, and it makes zero sense. It's a rave in the cave. Like they're raving, they're rubbing up on each other, they're all wet, and, water's falling from wherever, I don't know, and they're like sexy dancing. You're like, what? It's the end of humanity. You're fighting for your lives. Why would people dance? What is this all about? It was the weirdest scene ever. It should be deleted from future cuts. You delete that scene and you work with the architect scene a little bit better, I think. Maybe reveal something cataclysmic to Neo at the end. You have a really solid film. Because other than that, Matrix 2 is fantastic. It's fantastic. I love the action in it. There's a lot of good scenes in it. But that stupid rave scene in the cave, and then the ending falling a little flat, does put it a step. I remember after I watched, I was like, man, we couldn't get over that cave scene. We were all laughing at it. It was so stupid. And we all hated it. And then The ending was a little ho-hum. But, we were still excited to see the third one. Unfortunately, the third one is not good at all. I mean, there's a few decent scenes, but the main scene with him and Mr. Smith or whatever is just not good. The movie just kind of went off the rails at the end. Everyone says this. So what would 4 be about? I don't know, but I'm all for it. Maybe if it can be a better ending to the series, then I'm all for it. If it can be, but a big if, if it can be a better ending to the series. But I'm looking forward to a Matrix 4 only because I don't want it to end on 3. Same thing, I'm looking forward to a Die Hard 6. Wait, is it Die Hard? What number are we on? Yeah, Die Hard 6. You're like, Matt, why? 5 sucked. Yeah, that's why, because 5 sucked. If they had ended on 4, I'd have been happy. I thought 4 was a great movie. I really enjoyed 4. I think 5 is just an utter shame. And I want them to do a 6. Now, unfortunately, maybe I'll do a top 5 Bruce Willis and talk about that later. Anyway, so that's my number 5, The Matrix. Number 4, this is the one that's going to knock your socks off. And you've probably never seen it. And it's really good. The Lake House. I'm not kidding. With Sandra Bullock, it's weird because they're mailing each other letters, but they live in the same house. It's just that one person lives in the past and the other person lives in the future. Like, I think Keanu Reeves lives in the past while she lives in the future. And so it's really weird because whenever they put something in the mailbox, the future of them finds it and reads it. Well, then later on they find out that somehow they're in different times and living in the same house. Like, wait a minute, what year is it there? Well, how come I'm not living in that house now? And it's like, why did I move out of that house? And they're trying to figure out, she's trying to figure out what happened to him, and she doesn't know, and he doesn't know. And eventually, as the years go by, it's getting to the point where she gets the house. It's getting to, whoever's living in the past. Maybe Sandra Bullock's in the past. I can't remember. But it's like, what happened, So they agree to meet or something on that day. I'll say, I'll meet you in the past, because I'm catching up with your past before we just met, before I left. She's like, okay, great, because I know where I was on that day. And you can just see me and we can meet, and that way maybe change history or whatever. I don't know. It's really odd. It's a really weird one. I saw this for 2 reasons. One, I like Sandra Bullock, so I saw it for her because I liked her back in the day. And I also love Keanu Reeves, so I thought it was perfect. I thought it was a chick flick, but it turned out to be this kind of time travel story. Weird. It's not time travel in a way because they're both in the same times, but they're talking across time to each other through mail, through the same mailbox in the same house. I was like, this is awesome. I really enjoyed it, and I totally forgot about the movie. And then when I was looking up things, it popped up, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that movie. Heck, I really like that movie. I'm gonna add that to my top 5 because it's really a solid film. In fact, talking about it, I want to watch it again. So when you look, but you look at the Lake House, you say Lake House. Okay, it's just a romantic story with Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock. Meh. Can you imagine the girls going out for a chick flick night and then finding it was something totally different? Girls would enjoy this too, though, because it is intriguing. But guys, I think you'd enjoy it too. It's an intriguing movie. I'm not going to spoil the end. I thought I'd spoil the end when they do decide to meet or whatever, or they're going to meet. Whoever is in the past, I think Keanu Reeves is in the past, is going to decide to meet Sandra Bullock because he knows where she was at such and such a time before they started talking. So I won't say how it ends, but it is a pretty good movie. It is a pretty good movie. So I really enjoyed the movie. Really thought it was awesome. Lake House. You need to check that out. Okay. Now here's the thing. In the comments below, let me know. Is Lake House in your top 5? If it is, I will be extremely pleased and happy. If you haven't seen it, watch it first and then give me your Keanu Reeves top 5. Now, maybe you say, Matt, this is not that good. That Lake House is not as good as all these other movies. I don't care, but either way, I just want to see, does someone else think Lake House is in the top 5? Because I do. Now, I don't think anyone's going to complain about my top 3 here, because I think a lot of people probably would have this in their top 3. At least I hope they would. I haven't seen this in a while, but I did see it a couple years ago. Still a solid film. Point Break. Oh my gosh. If you don't like Point Break, something is wrong with you. It's a fantastic movie. It's kind of a little different because an FBI agent goes undercover as a surfer, Keanu Reeves, to become friends with this gang of surfers who also rob banks. They dress up in the president mask. It's a very popular movie, or was back in the day. Got a lot of spoofs on it. My favorite spoof being Hot Fuzz, which is unbelievably good. But they do a Point Break thing in there that's just really funny. But Point Break is just awesome. It's just a great movie. I absolutely love it. He's trying not to blow his cover. He becomes friends with Patrick Swayze's character, who's kind of the lead guy, who gets into the ring of those people and decides to help rob banks. And he's walking a dangerous line because he actually likes these guys. You know, they're just guys, thrill seekers. They don't want to hurt anyone, but they're out there for the thrill. That's why they're robbing banks and stuff, and that's why they get their money so they can keep surfing. And he kind of falls in love with the waves, falls in love with the ocean, falls in love with a girl too, who's kind of involved with the group. I mean, the story is really good. If you've never seen Point Break, something's wrong with you. You need to check it out. Educate yourself. I remember this was the first movie with, and I don't know if he's been anything else, but that Red Hot Chili Peppers guy, ugly dude with long hair, he was in it. I can't remember if he's the lead singer of Red Hot Chili Peppers, but for some reason he was in that movie. Now, it's weird because Red Hot Chili Peppers were really popular back then, and you knew who he was. So when you saw him, he's the guy that shoots his foot, if I remember right, by accident, and screams. And it's a really good character. You're like, oh man, what's Red Hot Chili Peppers guy doing in there? And I mean, everyone would talk about that back in the day. But it's a movie that still holds up. I'm never going to do a Patrick Swayze top 5. But if I did, this might be his number one. I need to go back and look at Patrick Swayze films. But this was a really good performance with Patrick Swayze and a really good performance by Keanu Reeves. Another hit, basically. I know Keanu Reeves, I said that he wasn't really a big star until Matrix. He had some A-list hit movies, and Point Break was one of them. Now, my number 2 film was the one that really he broke out, and that's where I really first discovered him and started watching all of his movies after I saw this movie. And for the longest, it would have been my number 1 movie. I mean, you do this top 5 a few years ago, this would have been number 1, Speed. I absolutely love Speed, the thing where you can't go below 55 miles per hour or the bus explodes, right? Sandra Bullock at some of her finest. Sandra Bullock was really hot back then. I was a huge Sandra Bullock fan. I can't remember if this came out or Demolition Man came out first. I can't remember, but I think I first saw her in Speed. I want to say Speed was her first movie, and I thought she was super cute. I had a crush on Sandra Bullock, so I was like, ooh, yeah. And, of course, I didn't know who Keanu Reeves was back then. I mean, I had seen him in a few things, but I didn't follow him. And I watched this movie, and it was just perfect. It was perfect all the way through. Sandra Bullock's character's great. Keanu Reeves is spot on. And the movie's just a lot of fun. Unfortunately, Cruise Control 2, which I did see because Sandra Bullock was in it, because I kind of felt like she was the lead, but something was missing in it. It just wasn't that good. It was, even though it has William Dafoe as the villain, it should have been good, but it came off as campy. Would have it been better? Because I hear Keanu Reeves kind of regrets not doing it now. He backed out or something. I can't remember what the story goes, but if Keanu Reeves would have done it, I think it would have been a better movie. But Speed 2, wasn't as good. Speed, though, had Keanu Reeves in it. It is just great. The only hokey scene. In fact, we used to play a game where there's this road called Red Cut Loop Road. Outside of town, and it has a bunch of twists and turns, and there's one part where you can ramp. Yes, your car will go flying if you hit it just right. That's another great story altogether. I used to fly like the Dukes of Hazzard back in the day, and I ruined my shocks. I mean, ruined them completely because I kept jumping my car and just banged it up and beat it up. But I had so much fun. Now, when talking about ramping the car, I didn't ramp up 20 feet in the air, okay? It was like probably 2 or 3 feet, but you lifted off the ground for a little while. It was really cool. Scared the piss out of me the first time it happened because it happened by mistake. And then after that, I did it on purpose every time because I just love the thrill of flying that car. Even though it's just a few feet in the air, I know it wasn't that high off. It was awesome. It's an awesome. That's the reason the Dukes of Hazzard do it, man. It's an awesome feeling. But we used to try to go 45 miles. We tried 55 miles. We couldn't do it. We tried 45 miles, and we almost made it. We skidded. Now we could have died. This is so stupid that we did this because some of those turns we took on the inside corner. But if a car would have been going down that road, we would have died. We would have ran right into it. So it was really dumb for us to drive like that. It's just stupid kids driving down the road at 45 miles per hour. I think the actual speed limit there is 35 to 25 or something, but it ain't 45. But we were trying to go 45, and we would have made it, but we got cocky at the end. And I remember my roommate spun out. He had a brand new Eclipse. I remember he spun out on the gravel at the end and slid into the ditch. And we had to get his dad to come get us out, and his dad was pissed. He went, why were we on the ditch? And we said, well, there was a dog in the road. We lied. We outright lied. We said, there's a dog, and we moved to avoid it. He went, whose dog was it? Where is it? And we said, I don't know. It just ran off in the woods. But that was our excuse, because he's like, what happened? But we never made it. We never got to 45 again. You could do it at 35 easily. So that wasn't really a challenge. Like I said, the speed limit was anywhere between 35 to 25, but even on the 25 turns, you could still go 35 and be all right. But it wasn't a big challenge as 45 was. Anyway, that was Speed that almost, influenced me to die as a kid. But Speed, excellent movie. Now, number one should be no surprise to anyone who knows me. Absolutely love the John Wick movies. John Wick has to be number one. Keanu Reeves has conditioned himself to be the alpha male. This man does all of his own stunts now. He is in the best shape of his life. He's all muscle tone. That's why it's kind of funny seeing him in Bill and Ted trying to hide his muscles. Because he's super fit and he's super staying in shape for John Wick. Now, John Wick 1, 2, and 3. If I was to break these movies up and do my top 5, then John Wick 3 would be number 1, John Wick would be number 2, and John Wick 2 would be number 3. That's exactly the order I'd have my top 5. And then Speed would be 4, Point Blank would be number 5. If I'm breaking up these movies, but I'm going to keep John Wick as a trilogy. I think John Wick is absolutely amazing. I unfortunately did not see the first one in theaters. It came out, back in the January, March era, which, I miss a lot of movies. No one really goes to movies then, and I missed it too. Even though it had Keanu Reeves, I was going to rent on Netflix. And I remember everyone was just going off about the movie. I was like, really, was it good? And I'm excited to hear that, Keanu Reeves had another great movie. So we rented it, and I looked at my wife. I was like, this is awesome. And when John Wick 2 came out, we went and saw it, and I was like, this is great. And I thought John Wick 2 was a step down from John Wick 1, but I still enjoyed it. And, by the way, John Wick 2 has the best ending out of all three of them. I think John Wick 2 has the best ending. It's so awesome that the whole city is out to get him now. John Wick 3 picks up shortly after that, John Wick 2, and it's phenomenal. I mean, it's almost borderline a perfect movie. There's hardly a bad scene in there. I off the top of my head, I can't think of a scene that slows down at all. I absolutely loved the film. I loved it. I loved from beginning to end. The movie had 1, 2, 3 different endings. And each one was more epic than... It's like they had these 3 ideas for endings. They said, you know what? Let's just do all 3. And it was incredible. 3 is just the best of the bunch. It has a lot of humor in it too. But I sat there in theaters, and I remember I laughed the entire movie. Not because it was a comedy, because I was I laugh when I enjoy a movie. When a movie really surprised, like Baby Driver. Baby Driver absolutely shocked me in theaters. I was laughing at times. I could not believe how good the movie was. And John Wick 3, there's some funny stuff, but there's a lot of action going on. I'm just laughing because I'm enjoying it. I'm like, yes! Yeah, I was doing that a lot. It's like, yes! All the big kills, I'm here laughing. Everyone's looking at me like, you need to be quiet. This is the library, not a movie. It was weird because it was opening night too, and I don't know why anyone wasn't getting into it like I was. But John Wick 3 is incredible. It's an incredible movie, and I want to buy all of these on DVD. They will be part of my DVD collection, but I want to wait till a box set comes out. And since they're making 4, I have to wait for the box set. But John Wick, oh my goodness, that is the number 1 by leaps and bounds. And I love Speed, but it's leaps and bounds. So there you go. There's my top 5. Hey, folks, let me know what your top 5 is. I better see John Wick in there. I understand if you don't put him first place, because if you don't put him first place, that just means you don't enjoy movies. You really need to do you really need to watch Constantine. You really need to watch all of his movies. I mean, Lake House. I know a lot of people haven't seen Lake House or Constantine, and if you've never seen John Wick, I mean, I don't know what you're doing with your life, but John Wick is awesome too. All right, folks, that is all the time I have for now. I'll see you next time on another Saturday morning Samo John Wick Flange.